Hello everyone. Hello Dr. Michael Lightman. Dr. Lightman, hello. And today we'd like to talk about women in the new world. And today we'd like to talk about the strength of women. Norma. Hello, Dr. Lightman. Hello, everyone. First of all, there is a research, 30 years study from the Harvard University that studied the connection between leadership qualities and women, according to 16 different criteria. So besides developing strategic thinking in which men did better, in the other 15 categories, women are more skilled, talented. We'll get into all of them in a moment, into all of these categories in a moment. And despite their abilities, according to the Forbes magazine, from recent years, there was a 25% decrease in women CEOs. Dr. Lightman, decrease? That's interesting. Norma, yeah, we're talking about the United States, but probably this is a worldwide phenomenon. And going back to the Harvard research that tried to find out why is this happening. And they found out that it's not a matter of inability, but it's a matter of social perception, consent, and the way a woman sees herself, as if she feels that she's worth less instinctively. What do you think about that? Dr. Lightman, look, we're very different, men and women. Everyone has a very different standing out role, very different from the other sex. And by nature and by our entire human statute, men and women are very different. Intellectually, completely, psychologically, the way we see life, everything. We're very different in all of these things. Therefore, altogether, I don't understand, and I never accepted it. What does it mean to make a comparative study about men and women? How's that possible? These are two opposite forms, and only when they exist correctly do these forms complete each other. But everyone on their own lack the other side. And how do we start comparing, equalizing the two? How can you? It's not more or less. They're different and they have to be different. We only have to know how to use them correctly. That's it. That's what I'd say. Therefore, all of these researches, they're so foolish. What for? It's like we're arguing in a family who's more, who's less, who makes more, who cooks, or who, I don't know, tidies the house better. Of course, these are things that a man can do better than a woman, and there are things that a woman can do better than a man. And this is why both of them together are called a human being. Otherwise, each of them is only half of a body. Only when they connect together in the right way, and this is what we have to learn how to do, how to connect together correctly. Only then do they become a human being, a whole and complete human being. Norma. True. So each has their own talents and skills, and they complete each other. On this show, we wanted to talk about women's skills and talents and how can we use them in this very strange period in time that we're in. Nitsa, please. Nitsa, yeah, the reason for which we have introduced this study is to really see what does it have to say about women's strength? And we'd like to go in a moment over these points one by one and see how do we use these abilities seen in this study in favor of our current situation. So, care and concern for others, this was one of the biggest things that the research has shown very clearly, meaning that women have a certain kind of sensitivity. They have the ability to encourage and motivate teams, people, workers. They're very encouraging. They encourage the advancement of others, not only themselves. They push toward development, toward personal development. It's very important for them that if there's a team that they're working with, for the entire team to be able to advance and acquire new knowledge. They have the inclination to initiate things, bring up new things, to see things from outside of the box, to develop a new kind, different kind of thinking. So we'd like to go over these special talents that women have, and especially now in the time of the corona, where it seems that things are going out of control. So let's take the first point. A woman has special sensitivity. She's especially sensitive. How, as a woman, can I use this special sensitivity that I have in this current time? Dr. Leitman, I think that women have a very unique, strong force and ability to influence the world, only they don't know how to use it. Men, they can shout everywhere, yell, and it sounds legit and correct. It's like we go out, who's yelling? Children, men, but women yelling, that's already a problem. We're starting to listen, something happened. That women are yelling, that's something's going on. Therefore, a woman has to approach the public not in that way, but in her own way. And here we have to really develop a new feeling, change attitude toward what a woman would like to come to bring to humanity, to the public. Nitsa. So now that we're in this new period where women have to develop and nurture this, their ability for leadership, how do they use their sensitivity in order to realize their ability in this phase that we're in? How should their sensitivity, a woman's sensitivity, be expressed precisely now? Dr. Leitman, it seems to me that we have to teach women, all women, in our framework for women, and to teach them how can they influence, how can they bring these things into their families only this way, not through the media, not through different governmental systems, no. But at home, actually, a woman that knows that this is what she has to pass on to her husband and her family, she knows how to do it. She will really pour it onto their heart and mind and everything for sure. I'm sure this is the way, but we have to take care of the women, and women each in their own family, not through the media or anything, and then the next day we will hear and see how men talk about this. Norma, so what principles are we talking about? Dr. Leitman, the principles of connection and to see the world in a correct, good, nice, and new way. This is what we have to do. Norma, do you feel that it's something that's missing, that doesn't exist? Dr. Leitman, it doesn't exist and it's truly lacking. And if women will learn how to do it and will be able to introduce it through their families, undoubtedly that it will change the face of society and the world. I'm telling you seriously. I see this in our ability to change the world because it will never go through men. They'll keep on playing like children, and this is how it'll continue until more and harder blows will come. Nitsa, so what does a woman have to do in order to pass this on to her family? Dr. Leitman, to convince her family that the well-being of the family and the well-being of the world is the main thing. Nitsa, so this is the first principle of what she has to pass on to her family. Dr. Leitman, to brainwash them. Nitsa, the well-being of the family and the world. Dr. Leitman, yes, because tomorrow when men leave home and go to their different works and engagements, this is what they will subconsciously have. Norma, where do we start? Dr. Leitman, as always, from the kitchen, from the living room, and from the bedroom. In all of these places, you are actually in control. And you pass on to your husband this importance of the connection, of well-being, of peace in these new times and care. Norma, can a woman really grasp society, something so broad, or is it especially at home that's more under her control, that's smaller? How can a woman really feel that the entire world is hers, or it belongs to her, that she's related to it, that she's responsible for it? Dr. Leitman, because without that, she'll have no home. Without that, she will have no home and no family. This is something that she needs. This is something that we have to pass on to women through our education, that in our time, the world is so interconnected that unless we connect correctly, we will lose everything. Nitsa, this special sensitivity in a woman, is it actually something? I mean, in order for her to pass it on to her family, to bring it into her home, she has to feel it herself. Dr. Leitman, therefore, we have this educational system where we want to be able to teach all women, to pass this on to them, and through them to their men and children. The children of today are the men of tomorrow. Nitsa, other qualities that stood out are the ability to motivate, meaning being a motivating force. And you can see it in organizations, at work, everywhere. It's part of their ability, women's ability. How do we correctly use our ability to motivate others in these special times that we're in? Dr. Leitman, now it's actually easier because it's the call of the hour, because we have no means by which to arrange the world, how to calm it down, all of the forms of collision and things like that, but only through this kind of approach. Norma, we also discovered that women have the ability to determine close and practical goals, to set close and practical goals. So what's the closest, most practical goal right now? Dr. Lightman, to understand our current situation, that it is leading us, bringing us to a new humanity, and that in this state, we have to connect in order to find in our connection an anchor for all the drastic, dramatic changes that are about to happen. Norma, what's the practical thing that you would offer us to do? Dr. Laitman, to build an educational system for women, an integral system, virtual system, in all languages, for us to be able to teach women the measure to which our world is lacking only connection and the ability to generate connection. That is up to women, the female force in reality, as opposed to the male force that's not looking for connection, but to the contrary, that it's looking for war and separation. And by the force of women, that also we're in a special time where we're forced to do this. We have to do this. It's worthwhile doing it. That actually now we want to convince, for every woman to convince her husband, her sons, that we have to be correctly connected, all of us. And gradually, what mom says, this is appreciated by the family, the husband accepts it too, and this way gradually everyone does. And this is what it means that thanks to righteous women, the people of Israel came out of Egypt. Nitsa. What does she actually explain to her family, that the well-being of our family depends on the well-being of the world, and the well-being of the world depends on the well-being of the family? How to explain something like that? It seems very abstract, some kind of a very abstract message. How can you pass this on to the husband, to the children, a message that seems really big? Dr. Leitman, it doesn't seem big, because all in all, it starts with a man, and then family, and then a small society, and then a bigger society, up to the measure of a country, and then between countries. And thank God, we have a very broad public of thousands and thousands of students that are participating. That's something that we can do. And who else besides our women feel that we're in a state of danger, and therefore who else knows, like the wisdom of Kabbalah says and explains, that really shows us that the correction of the world is only in its connection. Norma, there are plenty of challenges, most of which fall on the shoulders of women. Where does a woman derive the force from? What's the source? Dr. Leitman, the source of the female force is the nukva, which is the malchut, which includes everything. A man is from above as the ketel, and the woman from below as the malchut, and everything depends on the woman. We think everything depends on the man, but no. Like it is in our life, a man sows a seed, a drop of seed from the man enters the woman, but the woman develops, and there she gives birth, and she educates the children, and prepares them for the future. It's all the female force. And therefore, we have to respect this force, develop it, and if we're talking about our time, this is the time of a woman. Nitsa, you talked about the female force, the force of the Malchut. In simple words, a woman, she feels this force. Does she have the ability to strengthen it, empower it, to really have the ability, like Norma pointed out, it's a very special time. The family's a lot of home. Suddenly the home became the focus, and sometimes it's not simple. Dr. Lightman, of course it's not simple. It's precisely in order for women to make this change. Norma, so this focus brought back by the corona to the family, to the woman's domain, so to speak, it's in order for her to start making this change and precisely in her home? Dr. Lightman, yes. Nitsa, so you said that there's this source of force. I can tell you that as a woman, I'm always looking for how to strengthen myself, if I could charge myself somehow, especially in such challenging times. How can I empower this force that you call Nukva or Malchut? Dr. Lightman, only by these kinds of meetings that we will extend, that maybe we'll have on a daily basis or several times a week, according to the topics that are advancing, that are bring the women that are participating to such a responsibility to enact themselves for the sake of connection. Norma, you're talking about an educational process. So one of the principles or the challenges that women are facing about self-confidence, what is the source of this? For us to really know that we're capable, that we have the ability, and this is exactly the time. What is the source of self-confidence? Dr. Lightman, there's no one to do it but you? No one. This is a time. This is the historic period of a woman. Malchut eventually is coming out of its hiding place, correcting all of reality. Norma, my question is, where do I take it from? Through the connection with other women in order to have more confidence, because this way I will have more support? Dr. Lightman, yes. Norma, what other source? Dr. Lightman, I'm willing to pass on to you all the knowledge that I have, all the forces that I have. Everything else is up to you. You're students of mine for decades. We're already familiar with this system. So let's build it. Let's advance it. Nitsa, another very interesting research from the California University. There they found out that something very interesting happens in a state of stress, distress. It was common until not long ago to think that once a person enters stress, like in the states that we're experiencing today, the automatic action is to fight or run away. But they found out they found out that 90% of those that participated in this research a few years ago were men. So this mechanism isn't necessarily a female, but a male mechanism. And when they did it recently with women participants, they found out something very interesting, that once a woman's in distress and crisis, what happens is that the oxytocin hormone is secreted, and this hormone doesn't cause her to fight or run, but immediately, naturally, she's searching of how to protect her offsprings, and automatically she connects to other women, precisely other women. And it's a very interesting research, because today we're in this period in time. It's very special. That the time is that because we're at home and we're in this melting pot, and many times there's a feeling that the man wants to run away, and if he could, then this is what he'd probably do. But women today are now in a state where they have to function, not simply function, but to also lead. So let's put the focus on what special force do women automatically feel that they're getting from other women in these special times of stress, pressure. Dr. Laitman, I'd say that women, when they connect, they feel a force, because a woman doesn't have just one force. The force of the nukva is that they connect everything together. And then, in their connection to other women, they have what to lean on, what to build themselves on, and not on their own, and also not with men. Because in regard to men, she annuls herself, and what follows is that only thanks to connecting with other women, and of course children, because this is the trigger, as if this is the reason for which she's going to connect and protect them. So this is how it has to be. But again, once women start connecting and generating this force, immediately they start influencing men. A man has a weakness that he doesn't give birth, that even though that he is physically maybe stronger, maybe in his aggression toward women, but actually a woman is much stronger, much more stable, much wiser, because the wisdom of life, listen to what Sarah tells you, this is what women have, and therefore once they connect, no doubt that men will be happy, like a little child in relation to his mother, will be happy to listen and carry out. And then women, they rise to the level of managing nature and not man. Norma, what is connection between women? Dr. Leitman, that for the sake of saving the world and children and everything, women are willing to connect above their natural force of rejection. Norma, maybe they don't know how. Dr. Leitman, yeah, but it's not a problem. Because here we can learn this together and get the forces of connection from above. It all depends on the importance. There's no choice in how important it could be to a woman. It's not like for a man. That if she sees how important these things are, and that there's no way out, she's willing to give everything up for the sake of the future of the children and the world. Nitsa, previously you mentioned the force of giving birth. In this special period that we're in, that seems like a transitional phase or a completely new stage. Dr. Leitman, yeah, today it's completely a transitional phase, and I'm talking about this a lot, that we are in a special state where before critical times, very important times, that there was never something similar. Nitsa, so how does this ability, this force that a woman have, how can that help her advance her family, society to a new state? Dr. Leitman, women will give birth to a new world. Nitsa, can you explain? Dr. Leitman, that women, by their connection, they will force men to connect, and this will give birth to a new world. Nitsa, how will it be new? Dr. Leitman, in its connection. Nitsa, that it will be more connected? Dr. Leitman, yeah, that's the main thing. And then the force of connection will be revealed between us, between all of us, men, women, everyone, and by that we will start seeing the world differently, integrally, and the integral force revealing in the world, appearing in the world. Nitsa, so the desire to give birth to a new world, this is the special force of a woman, the desire? Dr. Leitman, yeah. Nitsa, it's like in life that a woman wants to give birth. Dr. Leitman, yeah, it's so close to what you're doing on a daily basis that it's not a problem. You know how to influence men, children, everything. It's according to women's character. Just to make connection important for them. Norma, there's still a feeling that there's a kind of quirk, not allowing us to develop with all the potential that a woman has in our time. What is this quirk that does not allow us to advance properly? Dr. Laitman, modesty, fear, different such things. I don't think that there's room for that anymore, because we are heading toward times that, unless we realize this, they will force us in a very unpleasant way to be engaged in connection. Norma, how to rise above this fear? Dr. Laitman, we have to connect in our circles, and then we will simply chase the fear away. I'm very happy that we talked about this, and we'll continue. We'll continue in our future talks. Dr. Laitman, thank you very much. All the best.